Hello, and welcome to what will undoubtedly be a very blood-boiling inducing rant for me, and I may have to watch myself as it could be prone to heart attack territory. But I don't normally weigh in on things like this. Generally, I usually don't care about the direction that movies go in and casting choices and things like that. But something happened or we highlighted to me recently, which it's irritated me to the point of making a video about it. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, although I don't know if I'm going to get cancelled for calling it that. Live action remake from Disney. I don't know if Disney is in a suicide pact with some other music studios, or it's basically just running a bet with some other executives or other studios to see how badly it can do while still being like the biggest franchise or one of the biggest companies in the world. How much can it fuck up? How much can it get wrong?
I thought we had a problem for a minute there, huh? All right, now get out there and make me some goddamn money, huh?
And still be sort of beloved by everyone. The last, however many movies, I don't even know, the last 5 movies that Disney has produced, and this is Disney as in Disney Animated Studios, the original Disney, not the Marvel or Fox or whoever, yeah, Disney. The latest movies that they produced have all been live action remakes of previously loved movies. Generally, Mulan, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, The Little Mermaid, all of them released. All of them garbage, and all of them suffering from the same controversy, the same issues before the movies are even gone out. Like the same issues over and over and over again. And they always seem to fail, these movies, for multiple reasons. One is that they're just not good. The movies are just not good. So, the very basic things to get a movie, like to make money in a movie, the movie has to be good. It's not always the case, but generally a movie has to be good, right? And if you would think, if you've done the same thing 5 or 6 movies in a row and they've all basically sucked, you would probably think to yourself, let's do something different here. But no, what the second problem they all had was that it seemed like at this point Disney is going out of its way to annoy a certain amount of people, but they're doing it because they're trying to not annoy anyone, and they're making decisions from what is like a committee. Everything seems like it's committee focused. Everything is a committee. There's no one singular person making a decision or having a vision for any of the movies they do now. It's all a committee, or it's AI. That's the other thing it could be doing it. It's AI. They've actually got an AI program to go into, like, statistically choose, like, actors or whatever to do these roles, based on what is going to be the least offensive to everyone in the whole world. But in doing so, make the decisions. What they're doing is that they're making decisions more prominent than the movies themselves. So I just don't understand it. It happened with The Little Mermaid, and I haven't seen The Little Mermaid, to be honest, because frankly, The Little Mermaid as a story never really excited me. It was a mermaid who couldn't speak, and then could speak, and there was a giant octopus. I mean, it was all right, but it's pretty boring. So the live action remake had absolutely no interest on me at all. But other things I was interested in seeing originally. Mulan, one of the greatest animated movies they've ever done, absolutely destroyed because they've decided to try and update it. I don't really understand this concept of updating a story that's, from a time. These stories were made in a time when they were, at that time, they were the current, they met all the current regulations on sensibilities and equality and everything else. So they were made in a time when the things they were saying were the popular thing. It was the right choices. Yeah, everything was PC for that time. then when you try and take that story and update it to a modern audience with modern sensibilities and modern views, it doesn't work. Either you do it so badly that you strip everything out of the movie that made it good in the first place, which is what they tend to do, or it's just off, or people think it's awful because it's well outdated, and why are you telling the story again? So the story of Snow White is pretty outdated, right? Like, you wouldn't make that story now. So why are they trying to make that story again? Like, make a new movie. Make a character with a new story and do it with today's sensibilities and like sentiments. Try doing that, for God's sake. I also don't understand how we've gotten to this point where you can't have dwarves now. It's like Snow White, and I don't know if this is a piss take or not, but I've heard it and I'll have to assume it's true at the moment. It's Snow White and the 7 magical creatures. And swear to God, look at these people. This is just the shittest community theatre troupe playing Snow White and the 7 dwarves, and they've gone through a diversity hire process where they thought, well, we have to have one of every ethnic group possible, and also like gender. It's Snow White and the 7 dwarves. I don't know what stereotypes they think they're breaking by not hiring little people or people with dwarfism to play these roles. There are plenty of great actors out there with dwarfism who would be able to fill these roles. So what stereotype are they breaking? That like all little people work down a mine and they have a name associated with their least favourable personality trait? I mean, nobody thinks that when you see a little person or a dwarf on the street. Be like, oh, must be a way down mine. Why is he not whistling? Oh, he's obviously not going to work. It's a dwarf, like from the mystical sense of dwarf, like Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter and things like that, where there are dwarves. They're not like little people that you're making fun of. They're mystical creature dwarves. I get it. Are elves offensive to people who have slightly pointier ears? Like, oh, I can't say an elf. I can't say elf. I have a slightly pointy ear. That's offensive to me. I don't understand. Maybe I'm not from the generation of people who care. And that's what's actually starting to annoy me, because I don't care. But these choices that Disney are making seem to be getting done in a way that they think I care. And if I do pretend to care or do seem to care, I'm deemed as being some kind of bigot or racist, when it's not the case. If you were to make a story right now, a new story with all these actors and all these choices, and it's called something else, and it's a different story, I wouldn't care. I would probably ignore it because it sounds shit, but I wouldn't care. I just don't understand this whole concept of taking a story that has been beloved by so many, changing it to the point where it's so bastardized it's nothing like the original, and then shoehorning it down your throat, and then you go out and say, well, if you didn't like it, it's because you're a racist. It's like, well, that's not true. Come up with an original story, but they don't do that because they're so afraid of coming up with original stories, because they're culturally and talentless. They're bankrupt. They're culturally bankrupt and talentless. And this is the thing that they can't admit. And Disney has done this now for its own projects for so long. It's actually started to suck in and do it with its umbrella projects. Marvel is getting that way, and Fox, they'll start doing it, and Indiana Jones. Just stop it. Just stop it. I want to shake you. I want to shake you out of your apathy and just tell you to go and create something new. Stop relying on nostalgia, because it's eventually, and if it hasn't already, it's just going to wear out. Like, I am done with these remakes and like that. But I've looked up and I see there are so many more in the horizon. People love these movies at a time and for a reason, and you're removing all the things that they loved about them, which is why they have failed. And this is not just me being a grumpy old man, which I am, but there is proof. If you look back at all their live action remakes of the past 5 or 6 live remakes they've made, they've all failed. Because they just have no idea what to do, and they're just trying the same thing over and over again. They're trying to, like, either they're trying to, like, they're embarrassed by their past, and which they are, because they put all these trigger warnings on things to say, oh, by the way, this might contain culturally insensitive information. Does that go on the Bible? No. Does it go on historical textbooks? No. Because people, when they look at something and it's from 1937, if they've got any intelligence at all, will think to themselves, this is not something they've just made now. This was made in 1937. The world was a little bit different then, so maybe the movie will be a bit different. I don't have to pretend that, like, I don't have to say, I'm sorry, Aladdin is super racist. Because, first of all, it isn't. And secondly, and if you're going into watching a movie that's old, you, the audience, have to expect that. And also, I could be offended by something that no one else is offended by. Offense is in the person that's receiving the offense, not the person who's doing the action. If someone does something to me, I find it offensive. They haven't, like, forced offense upon me. Right? So it's my issue. So do I have to put, I have to put trigger warnings out to people to say, I might be offended by things you say, so please don't say anything? And if that's the case, which is what happens now, people in, like, a whole put out this warning to say, I will be offended by something you say. So then companies like Disney take that information in, they take it back and go like, well, shit, what am I going to say? This guy's going to get offended by everything. But this girl's going to get offended by something different. And he's going to get offended by that. But they're going to get offended if I do that. They'll be offended if I do that. And this person will be offended if I do that. So what do? Well, is there a little Zen diagram of where nobody will be offended? And they go, oh, well, let's just aim for that. Let's do that. So people are offended by not having minorities in the movies, right? We'll scrap everything. Everyone's a minority actor now. What if it doesn't? What if the character was originally a white person? Doesn't matter. Minority actor. Okay, so we're going to do a live action Mulan. We're going to make it a white actress. No, God, no. God, no. Jasmine. No, God damn it, no. Pocahontas. For God's sake, stop talking. Yeah? No, that's never going to happen. And that's, there you go. Even I think I sound racist now, which is just ridiculous. And this is a very long rant I've gone on to now, but I swear to God, I do not understand the modern world. And I feel I'm going to have to shut myself off from it because it's getting too much to handle. Just come up with an original movie, please, Disney. Stop making your live action bullshit. Stop pretending that you're not making decisions to not offend people, because that offends people more. You make decisions to not offend people. Don't pretend otherwise. And I'm sorry for those who've had to listen to this whole thing. But that's just one man's opinion. And I presume I've changed Disney's mind because they will be watching this. So for the next movie that comes out and it's brilliant, you're welcome. If the next movie that comes out isn't brilliant, it's because they weren't listening to this. So not my fault. And if you're offended by that, good. Bye.